is CNN Breaking News.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Aisha Sasay in Los Angeles with our breaking news. The controversy over alleged ties between the Trump campaign and Russia is deepening with another stunning development. Sources say former FBI Director James Comey wrote a memo saying that President Trump asked him to end the investigation of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Well, this news came as the White House was responding to another bombshell that President Trump shared classified information with senior Russian officials last week. The White House says the Comey memo, as reported, is not a truthful or accurate portrayal of the conversation. More now from Jim Acosta.
Work over the last year.
Well,
the FBI is completing its investigation.
We love you very
and
much.
Referring the matter to
The White House is pushing back on a memo written by former FBI Director James Comey that accuses President Trump of interfering with the investigation of ex-National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. White House officials released a statement saying the president did not ask Comey to end his probe into Flynn's contacts with Russian officials. Sources inside the White House sounded anxious about the Comey news. One gloomy-sounding official did not even try to spin the controversy, telling me, quote, "I just don't know what to say on this one." But other sources close to the White House sounded defiant, with one source saying all of the outrage may help with the president's base of supporters. Still, Republican worries are starting to mount over the controversy, with a spokesman for House Speaker Paul Ryan saying in a statement that Comey's memo should be turned over to Congress. Jim Acosta, CNN, Washington.
All right, well, a lot to dig into. Joining me now, CNN law enforcement contributor Steve Moore, civil rights attorney Brian Claypool. Say self-inflicted wounds, we don't know if they're fatal. We're talking about the president's fate, but what about the country? Brian, to you, I want you to take a listen to Senator Richard Blumenthal, Democrat from Connecticut. Listen to what he says and about where the country is right now.
What we're seeing, Anderson, is a obstruction of justice case unfolding in real time. And I am still stunned that more of my Republican colleagues are not standing strong and speaking out, but I think they are shaken and almost shell-shocked by this news, as I was, because as stunning as the developments of recent days have been, this one really is a bombshell that tops all of them so far.
Brian Claypool, Richard Blumenthal's point that he has made over the last 2 days is that the country is facing a constitutional crisis. Do you agree?
Well, I don't think we're facing a constitutional crisis. I think what we're facing is we have two parties. We have a Democratic Party that let's be straight with each other. There's a fervor to find reasons to oust President Trump. So when you have that premise, when something like this happens, Aisha, when you have a memorandum and you combine that with this fervor to eliminate President Trump, then what it does is heighten things to a point where you get irresponsible statements made by Mr. Blumenthal saying that, oh, we have obstruction of justice unfolding. We don't yet have it unfolding. What we have is a major red flag. And what we need to do, though, is separate that and gather the information. We can't have a knee-jerk reaction. We need to have the House Oversight Committee come in and subpoena. For example, let's subpoena any email exchanges between President Trump and his staff and or with Comey about the Russian investigation and whether he wanted it to end. Let's subpoena any text messages. Let's see if there are any audio recordings of conversations that might shed light on a true pattern. In other words, we have to show that President Trump truly wanted to impede this investigation. And we need to do that through evidence that the House Oversight Committee has to generate before we can all make this global conclusion that President Trump has violated the law and should be impeached.
All right, we're going to leave it there for just a moment. We're going to take a very quick break. Brian Claypool, to bring you back in here. I mean, to Austin's point, you know, the Democrats are coming out, they're talking impeachment, they're rallying, and they're certainly sounding confident that this could be the smoking gun to finally to pin something that sticks on this president. But take a listen to Alan Dershowitz, the Harvard law professor, famed legal mind. Listen to his assessment of where the president is in the midst of all of this.
When it's the president of the United States
and we have separation of powers, the courts are going to resolve these issues in favor of the president if what he did was lawful. If he destroyed tapes, if he refused to comply with a subpoena, that's one thing. But there's going to be, we're going to see, there's going to be erring on the side of presidential authority and presidential power.
I mean, I don't want to overstate it, but from what Dershowitz is saying, the president maybe doesn't have a whole lot to worry about, or shouldn't be as worried as everyone else is saying he should be. Is that your view?
I'm not sure I agree with that. I mean, I think I was on your show a month or two ago. We were talking about that travel. Remember that travel ban? And we had a couple judges that were issued scathing orders against our President Trump. Do you remember that? So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure that judges are going to be out there, patronizing President Trump, Aisha. One other point I wanted to make before we finish is I find it ironic that President Trump fires James Comey, and if he fired James Comey, if he did that because he wanted to try to slow down the Russian investigation, it may have backfired, because what it's done is you now seem to have an emboldened James Comey. In other words, he's ready, willing, and able to walk into a Senate committee and give testimony that he otherwise, Aisha, might not have been able to give if he was still the FBI director, because he would have had to say, well, wait a minute, we still have an investigation going on? I can't talk about that. But guess what? He can now talk about that, and that may backfire ultimately for President Trump.
It does seem as if the gloves are off. We shall see how this all plays out. Austin James, Caroline Hellman, Steve Moore, Brian Claypool, thank you so much for the great conversation. We'll see how this one plays out and get you all back for round 3. All right.